me about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Right now. Inspirational perspective.
I want to talk about what is required for us to make a powerful declaration. And some time ago, I did an episode on the power of words. So go check that out. Go check that out if you must, where you understand the power of words. But I want to hit this from a different angle. And the angle that I like to hit this at is really the angle of energy. I want to talk about energy. Because if you think about the power of words, then there's two other ways that I would really want to classify a word. A word is either a frequency, and by the way, I'm not saying either or, like it's both and, right? It is a frequency and it is energy. And I don't think we really understand energy the way we should, because if we did, then we would have a different relationship to words. And that's where I want to spend my time today. So today's topic is how to take control of your life, and I call this the energy episode. The energy episode. Now, if you know somebody that's always talking about they don't have enough energy, then this episode is for them. Call them and wake them up and say, I know you're tired because you never have energy, but this is how we're going to change that. All right, this is how we're going to change that. Go ahead, put some cold water in your face, take a listen. Now, good luck with that, because anyone who believes they don't have energy will believe that they don't have the energy to listen. It's just that simple. So let's talk about energy, to really begin to help people understand what energy actually is. So we talked about the 12 universal laws. Okay? We talked about the 12 universal laws. And what I like to do is combine the conversation around the 12 universal laws with this particular conversation. So here's how I'm going to do it. Now, first, there are laws of energy. I'm going to go there in a moment. But I want to talk about the law of vibration first. Speaking of which, I got this text message from a brother that listens. And I thought it was no, it wasn't a text. It was a message on YouTube. He replied to one of the 12 universal law, episodes that we put up on YouTube. And he said something. And if I have it in, I took a screenshot of it. So if I have it here in the computer, I'm gonna read it to you guys. Because I screenshotted it, and I thought it was incredibly appropriate. Here it is, right here. I think this is it. Yep, here it is. Okay. So, and I'm sharing this for somebody else too. He was like, "What's up, Linnell? I want to take a minute to say thank you for this content." And he's talking about, in particular, what are the 12 laws of the universe, and this is part 2. He said, "What's up, Linnell? I want to take a minute to say thank you for this content. I have been saved for around 9 years now, and in my journey, I have found out that there are higher truths to be learned, not just from biblical text." Okay. All right, so we understand where he is, saved, meaning he's a Christian. And more than, like, when someone says they're saved, that tells me that they are not just labeled, right? They're not just carrying the label, but they be, one of the things we're going to talk about today, this is one of the reasons I want to read this, is because we're going to talk about what it means to be something. Okay? You can call me something. That doesn't mean that's what I am. However, when I'm being something, that creates a significant shift. So he started off by letting me know who he be. That's very important, right? So now I'm intrigued. It's okay. And by the way, I agree with him, when he said, I have found that there are higher truths to be learned. Now, let's look at I don't think he meant higher than the Bible. I think he meant more truths. So let's just say that, right? There are more truths because he's already told me who he be. So then that's where I'm like, okay, now we're getting into semantics. But just in case somebody out there is like, higher truths? Let's just quell that with he meant more truths. Okay. All right. That are not just learned in biblical texts. I have been searching more and more for information, tools to help me become stronger mentally and physically. All right. So I want us to understand this because this is a multi-dimensional journey. And so as we talk about words, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to cover like the different dimensions that words impact. Because like we be talking, but I think many of us are only in interacting with the earth realm, the physical realm, and we don't understand what we're doing in these other realms, right? Especially with words in particular. So I've been searching more and more for information tools to help me become stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually. I appreciate your videos more because where your observations come from, because they come from a believer's standpoint, right? So this first time watching me, yes, I believe in God, right? And I think that's important because we live in a time now where people are very, what's the best way to say this? Very cryptic about what they personally believe or who they be. I'm going to keep coming back to this, right? I'm going to keep coming back to this. All right. I am a believer. So then he goes on to say, I am a believer of God, the creator. Where I come from, I'm sorry, that's period. Of God, the creator. Then he goes on. Where I come from, if I was to mention these universal laws, I would be seen as dipping my toe in the wrong pool because this would be considered New Age, right? Which is interesting when these laws existed before all of us. This is New Age, though. But I appreciate the comment, and I'm sharing this because part of what I'm going to be sharing today, someone might be like, that's New Age. It's like, no, it's not. It is older than all of us. It's more than centuries old, millenniums old, what I'm going to share with you today. Okay? So then he goes on to say, I'll be dipping my toe in the wrong pool because it's New Age. But in all reality, these laws have been governing the universe ever since God spoke them into existence. I could go on, but again, I want to say thank you to that brother. You are welcome. And this show is my welcome to him. Because we're going to go right back into these laws. All right, so because I can't talk about words without talking about the laws. I hope your loved ones are awake. I hope y'all listening this morning. Okay. The law of vibration. The third law. And by the way, if you're not familiar with these laws, go on YouTube, check out where I talk about the 12 universal laws. It is, how many episodes a day? 3 or 4? 3 episodes? All right. But let's just say, contextually, everything you need to know about the universal laws being taught by someone who's a believer is there, right? And that very first video is where I provided the context that I think supported him, why he probably kept listening. Okay. All right. The law of vibration is a metaphysical concept that states that everything in the universe is in constant motion. Everything in the universe, including you, is in constant motion, including this table, is in constant motion. My experience of the table is due to the law of polarity, right? That's a completely different law. And that law basically says that law of polarity is, they're positive, they're negative, there's either or, right? And the either or, my vibration against the table's vibration then makes the table solid, right? Otherwise, the table's in motion, I'm in motion. All these things are in motion, and all these laws together create our physical experience. Okay. Now, in the law of vibration, this movement is called vibration, and the rate at which something vibrates is called its frequency. All right? The rate at which something vibrates, it's called its frequency. Now, good morning, legend. My wife just said, my son said good morning. Good morning, buddy. Okay. And I got to speak because he's like, Dad, I don't even think you know I'm there when I say good morning to you. I do know you're there, loved. I love you. Good morning. Okay. And so the law of vibration also states that like attracts like. Now, the law of vibration is the parent law of the law of attraction. We covered all of this. I'm just kind of bringing you back in, right? It's the parent law of the law of attraction. So people teach the law of attraction, which is like the baby law. And that's why it don't work for, people be like, it makes so much sense. Why is it working? Well, because you probably should check out the parent law, the law of vibration. And the law of vibration also states that like attracts like. So if you want to attract positive experience or positive experiences, you need to take action towards a goal of creating, like becoming positive, right? Like attracts like. All right, so whatever my experience is, it's because of my current frequency. Let me just pause there. Let somebody swallow that down. Whatever my current experience is of life, it is because of my current frequency. You can't have struggle unless you have a struggle frequency. And by the way, I'm not talking about you. I'm trying to support and help you. That's what this is right here. You can't have struggle without a struggle frequency. Something happens when you begin to vibrate at a certain frequency. I was in New York this week. I made more it was like connection after connection after connection after connection. I'm out phenomenal connections, right? I'm like, God, thank you. Thank you for supporting me and becoming who I need to be to make these connections. Somebody's like, well, why can't I make connections like that? It's your frequency. Some people, I can sit on a plane next to somebody and not say a word. I don't even feel compelled at this point. Why? Two different frequencies. Like I could talk to you, but you won't even be tuned in. Two different. I can literally feel the frequency, right? Nothing to say. Let me read. Let me work. Let me do whatever I'm going to do. God bless you. I keep moving, right? All right. Now, what does this law have to do with this whole idea of declaration? The reason the declaration is important is because words themselves have frequencies that are often different from the frequency of the individual, right? Now, this is proven by Dr. Emoto. He did this research on water where he put words on water and it changed, and then he, froze the water and it changed the crystallization of the water. So, for instance, when he put a microscope on water that had been frozen with the word love wrapped around it, the crystals that formed were something to see. I mean, beautiful, like symmetric, gorgeous. But when he put the word hate on the same type of water, right? Same type of filtered water, and froze it. The crystals that he observed under the microscope were chaotic and disorganized. All right, so that proves, and there's more proof that words have frequencies, but that proves my point around just that right there. If you don't believe me, I always say don't believe me, go do the research. Dr. Emoto, E-M-O-T-O. Go check it out. Say, Linnell can't be telling the truth this morning. Go Google it. Write it down in your notes. Prove me wrong. Okay. I like when people, because then they'll be like, oh my goodness, it's true. Right? Like that's, that epiphany moment. Okay. So words have power. The power comes through the vibration, which is ultimately the frequency. So I am who I am today, but when I declare who I'll be tomorrow, I push that vibration and frequency out into the world. Now, once it's out into the world, it does not stop vibrating. That means now it's carried on, right? Because and here's the thing, because we can't see this, we don't believe it. Right? A lot of us, because we can't see it, we don't believe it. And so so Legend's listening right now. So Legend, you know that Daddy always says, be very, very careful with your words. We just had this conversation yesterday. It was a word he was using. And I'm like, don't use that word. Why not? What's wrong with the word, Daddy? I said, because that word is not, in terms of how it's used, is not a good word. It wasn't a curse word, right? But I'm like, but we, the Harrises, right, this tribe, this clan, we don't use words like that. And the reason, son, we don't use words like that is because those words have a different vibration and frequency. And so we don't want them in our space. Right now, he's 6, so he's learning this, right? My job is to steward him and teach him how to powerfully use his words. Okay, but that's why, Legend, I was on you about the words yesterday. Okay. Let's talk about the universal law of energy. Oh, man, let me tell you something. The next hour, if you like this hour, the next hour, I'm just looking at my notes. I'm covering some of this in the next hour. The next hour? All right. So let's discuss the law of energy before we go to break. All right. Let's discuss the law of energy. The law of energy, by the way, the universal laws of energy are different. There are 4 universal laws of energy. So they're different from the universal laws, right? Energy has its own set of laws. And so for those of you who joined today, because you saw the subtitle, I subtitled this, Understanding the Laws of Energy. All right. And then I would go on to say, for those of you listening, you have more than enough energy. It's about how you're using your energy, right? You have more than enough energy. It's about how you're using the energy you have. Some of us, no, Glenn, that's a different language, brother. That's it's an Indian dialect. You're all good, brother. So listener from another country on the Facebook stream. Okay. So, but I want to make sure, because sometimes things will rob us of our attention, right? I want to make sure you're good. So you have more than enough energy. It's about how you're using the energy you have. Okay. So I just want to talk about 2 of the laws of energy. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of them. Well, let me cover the laws of energy real quick. For some, it might make sense. For some, it might. Let's go ahead and cover all 4. All right, law number 1, the law of conservation of energy. And it says energy cannot be created or destroyed. Like, let's just, I want you to wrap your mind around that sentence. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Just that right there. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only transforms from one form into another. That's it. Do I want to give them hour 2 material yet? No, I don't. You got to wait. You got to wait. Okay, so we're just going to read. I'm just going to read right now. All right. Number 2. So that's the law of conservation of energy, by the way. All right. So energy cannot be destroyed or created, which would make sense because there's only one creator. Now, this law right here will bust up everything around evolution. But the second law, right, for anybody who doesn't believe, and I'm not trying to offend anybody this morning. I'm just telling you why I believe what I believe, and then you can choose what you want to believe, right? But I tend to, rationalize and allow my logic to, kind of fall on things, and it just makes sense to me, right? So if energy cannot be created or destroyed, so we're still working with everything we've always had, then why isn't more stuff evolving? Why aren't we getting new elements of energy, right? But hold on. Let's go to the second law. The first law of thermodynamics states, this is the second universal law of energy, the total energy of an isolated system remains constant. Energy can be transferred into different forms, but it cannot be created or destroyed. So I can transfer the energy, right? But I cannot create it or destroy it. Then number 3, the second law of thermodynamics. In any energy transfer or transformation, the total entropy of a closed system will always increase over time. Okay, what does that mean? All right. In any transfer or transformation, the total entropy of a closed system, entropy meaning you can call it entropy. Well, let's read the definition. Let's just read the definition of entropy for anybody who's like, what does that mean? Okay. Entropy is a thermodynamic quality representing the unavailability of a system's thermal energy of conversion into mechanical work, often interpreted as the degree of disorder or randomness in the system. Okay. So, this is about the availability of a thermal energy, right? So everything has energy, but that energy is not always available. Now, somebody right now, something that's clicked, they're like, I think I know where he's going. All right? So the energy is not always available. So just because something held energy at one point, let's take this piece of paper. This paper has energy. And we know this paper has energy because if I combine this paper with fire, we will literally see the energy leave leave or in some way separate from the paper, right? So then we will have smoke and ashes. All right. So the paper has changed form. All that happened is that the paper changed its form, and the ashes that are left have now gone through this thermodynamic quality representing the unavailability of the system's thermal energy. The ashes don't have the thermal energy that the paper had. Okay? So they can't, now this paper can no longer be converted into mechanical work. All right? And the ashes represent the disorder and randomness in the system. Okay. All right, so we're all there. But the ashes still make up or are composed of certain portion of the paper's energy, right? That's how we know those are paper ashes. Okay. Linnell, where are you going with all of this? Everything is energy. Energy can neither be created or destroyed. And the law of entropy states anything left to itself tends to move towards disorder and chaos. Anything left to itself tends to move towards disorder and chaos. The law of entropy states that anything left to itself tends to move towards disorder and chaos. Let's go back to my son. Anything left to itself tends to move towards disorder and chaos. Left to himself, he will move towards disorder and chaos. Why do you think we are in the situation as a community that we are in? Anything left to itself will move towards disorder and chaos. What is my job? My job is to bring order and structure to my son's life so that the energy that he is harnessed in the right way, harnessed with intention to create something powerful. This is what goals are. How did you know it was going to come back to goals? How did you know it's going to come back to goals? One of the reasons people struggle is because they are enveloped in the law of entropy. And because they are not bringing intention to their lives, anything that is left to itself tends to move towards disorder and chaos. Now, let's just sit with that. So somebody would say, well, why would I want to take control of my own life? I can't take control of my own life. I would say you have two choices. You have a choice of either taking some level of initiative and control or allowing your life to fall into entropy, where you will experience disorder and chaos. Now, goals are stressful. Disorder and chaos is stressful. You pick your stress. Right? You guys have heard me say this. You pick your stress. Okay. The fourth law of energy efficiency is no energy conversion process can be 100% efficient. Some energy will always be lost as waste heat. Okay. Now we're going to use these laws and build on words. There's some words, like let's look at the law of energy efficiency. No energy conversion process can be 100% efficient. Some energy will always be lost as waste heat. There's some words that, they don't necessarily produce the same level of energy. And then there are other words that do. You ever wonder why the Creator put a restriction on words? There's some words he's like, don't use these kind of words. You ever consider that if we look at the law of energy efficiency, it might be because those words are a bit more efficient than others in terms of creating a frequency and vibration that might disrupt what you want to create in your life? And then there are other words that we're encouraged to use. Love. Love is one of those words. So if in Dr. Emoto's experiments, love can create beautiful symmetric crystals and the word hate can create disorganized chaos, can you see how your words combined with your energy, if we go back to what we just talked about, the law of entropy can either create order or create chaos, words themselves. So when we think about this, this is why, after we envision it, we speak it. we declare it. Go ahead and put the framework up real quick. Go ahead and put that framework up. The how to manifest anything into your life, how to take control of your life framework. So when we look at this framework, and so far all we've done is we have focused in on two parts of the framework. So when we look at this framework, we've talked about the vision, and we've talked about now declaring the result, to verbally align oneself to a future possibility that is time bound. All right, let me take it down. Okay. Because all I'm going to do for the rest of this is really help us understand how to do this. All right. Now, I could give you a lot of different examples of words. All right. I could give you my own testimony of words. I can give you other people's testimonies of words. But what we know is that words have power and words carry a certain energy. And so because we understand this, because we know this, what's important is that I'm speaking in alignment with my vision. Now, all this being said, this is why the process for personal success starts in the mind. I have to plant the seeds of my vision in my mind, because everything else I am and who I be starts with my mind. And so as I begin to transform my mind, I begin to transform who I be. Here's another way to think about, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but here's another way to think about it, right? My being speaks to my identity. If I craft a vision that is in my mind, and that is who I begin to be, I begin to identify with my vision before I even have it. And that is the only way to get it. I begin to identify with myself as the individual I intend to come. And the only way I become that individual is because of how I identify with myself. It doesn't matter what other people think. What matters is what I think. And so being ultimately is correlated to identity. This is one of the reasons why I always start with purpose, because your purpose is your identity. So now we're looking at this and we say, okay, vision, if I can fill my mind with who it is that I intend to be, then I begin to walk in that identity. But then if we go to step number 2, the next step for me is to begin to talk from that identity. Now I begin to talk from that. One of the things that will happen for me is when I have a vision etched in my brain, there have been times where I have to correct my language, because I will say I have something that I, like in the physical world right now, I don't have. But you understand what I mean? Like it's so imprinted up here that somebody's like, oh, do you have such and such? Oh, yeah, I have that. Well, hold on. I don't have it yet, physically, but I have it. Y'all understand? I have it. I have it up here because I understand that I have to actually mentally embrace it as the first step. Having is step number 3. I have to mentally embrace it as the first step. Now, for us, I'm not going to even go into that part of it. Not yet. What I want to do is, now that I see it, now I'm speaking it, which is why declaring it is part number 2. So now I'm going to declare it. I'm going to speak it out. And I speak it not in what I want. Because let's be clear, if saying what you wanted moved something, if it held a powerful frequency and vibration, then everybody would have what they want because everybody talking about what they want. When you speak your wants come on a very low frequency. It don't move nothing. It don't move. If anything, it might deepen your desire for it, right? But it doesn't move anything. And so when I declare, I have to declare as though it is already here. I declare it as though it is already here. Before I was married, I declared, I am a husband. So then that means you need to start moving like a husband. Husbands just don't sleep around. Oh, man. Oh, man. If you want to be with the right one. Right? So then it's like, oh, I got to start moving like a husband before. All right, when we come back, I'm going to break down this be, do, have framework. You got to be it first, right? How do we be it? We have to see it. Where do you see it? In your mind. That's your vision. That's why vision is so important. After you see it, you speak it. We're going to spend our time on speaking today. This T-shirt that I have on, for those of you in the listening audience, I have on a long sleeve T-shirt. This T-shirt that I have on is cotton. Okay? Now, if energy is neither created or destroyed, then I am wearing energy. Now, we talked about this because one of the things I talked about was the frequency of cotton, right? We talked about this. So that means that this shirt carries an energy. Oh, man. If you all really get, if you begin to understand what I'm saying, this is about, it's either going to make your life more simpler or more complicated, period. And the reason I say that is because, like, for me, it's simplified things. There's certain things I just don't wear, right? I could be in a store and come across an amazing design. Let's say it's made out of cotton. But the words on the design, because words carry energy, the words on the design are not something I want to shroud myself in because of my identity, because of who I am. I know that the words on the design are in direct conflict with that. And so that's not for me. It's really nice, but it's not for me. I shared some time ago that you will never find me with certain symbols on my body, like in terms of my clothes, right? Skull and crossbones. Why? Everything carries energy. Everything, symbols carry energy. Numbers carry energy. They all got frequencies, which means they're constantly communicating something. So there's a water now called liquid death. Why would I drink that? That's not good branding. In fact, it makes me wonder if that was the intention of the brand. Why would I put something in my body that has the word monster on it? That doesn't make sense. Like, the frequency is off. Well, monster drinks give me energy. You already have energy. This is the problem. You are, because you exist, you are a bundle of more energy than you even can begin to imagine. The problem is we don't know how to funnel and get into it. So let me go back to what I was saying. Sorry, y'all, I get passionate. Because I'm like, man, I want you to understand. I really want you to understand. Okay. All right. So my T-shirt is made from cotton. Now, we all know that cotton comes from a plant. Where did that plant get its energy? Got its energy from the sun, right? Sun being one of the major sources of energy, okay? So got its energy from the sun. Photosynthesis allows that plant to do its thing, and it produces cotton. And then the cotton is picked, something our ancestors used to do. The cotton is picked and then formed, right, into fabric. That fabric is now this T-shirt. It has been a transfer of energy, right? Neither recreated or destroyed, but a transfer of energy. But I want you to understand something. What made the cotton into this T-shirt was also the energy of an idea. Let me say this again. What made the cotton into a T-shirt is because someone had an idea and decided that cotton needed to be picked and then dyed black so that it could turn into fabric. Okay? So the idea itself is energy. This is the power that the Creator gave us, where we can take energy and manipulate it with ideas. Now, how did we get this power? Because he said, because I made man in my own image, they have dominion. I said that wrong. Because man is made in our image. He used plural. When the Creator refers to himself, he refers to himself as plural. Okay? We, us, are. Right? Because we made man in our image, he will have dominion. Which means I can think something and it pushes out a frequency. What do you think about yourself? See, because as I begin to transform my thinking about me, I will transform. That's why we start with vision. And then if I use the power of my words to solidify my thinking of who I be by speaking who I be, oh my. Now that does something different. So my thoughts create energy frequencies. My words create energy frequencies, which is why I must start first in my mind so that my speaking follows. Now, let's be very clear. This right here is case study number 1 for why you should have goals. Because if you're not directing energy in every capacity of your life, then what the law of entropy states, that anything left to itself tends to move towards disorder and chaos. Now, let me use myself as an example. My wife and I, we bought a new house last year, spent about 3 or 4 months renovating the home, and then we moved in. We've been in the new home since February. It's December. Yesterday, my wife and I, we were sitting and looking around the home, and I said, babe, we have to do our annual cleanup, right? We need to create an annual cleanup where we restore the home to its original position. Because if we leave the house to itself, it will move towards disorder and chaos. We don't even have to do anything. If you leave a human being to themselves, they will move towards disorder and chaos. If you leave a portion of your life to itself, it will move towards disorder and chaos. So this is why Slay Your Goals members and my clients, I'm like, you must have goals in all four pillars of your life. Your health and well-being, your relationships, your work, your money, your purpose, your spirituality. But then we don't leave it there. We say, and in each of these pillars, there are categories. In each of these pillars, there are categories. And we will also tend to these categories. Because if we do not tend to these categories, they will move towards disorder and chaos. And health and well-being, there is my physical health. What? If you do not bring order to your physical health, it will move towards disorder and chaos. This is a law. It's a law. And I don't even have to give examples. Because as I said, some people can feel the truth of the law in their body. They can feel it. Others can see it. Because it wasn't tended to, it began to move towards disorder and chaos. I had somebody write me, and they were like, I feel like you fat shame without fat shaming. Because whenever you talk about health and well-being, you always talk about weight. That's what they told me, right? And I said, well, I use losing weight. I wrote them back. I said, I use losing weight as an example. I want you to be clear that I am not fat shaming. However, what I am a proponent of is that we are in optimal health, whatever that looks like for you, right? That's it. And what I do know is that many of us are not in optimal health, and the physical representation of that typically is weight, okay? But I'm not fat shaming anyone. What I'm doing is letting you know that if you don't tend to the garden, the weeds will grow. And this is how it occurs everywhere in life. For my wife and I, our house, for the garden, you go out there in the spring and plant seeds and don't do anything else and see if what you planted grows. It will be overtaken by weeds, right? You have to go and weed and tend to the garden. So in health and well-being, there's physical health, mental dexterity, and emotional fitness. If you are not tending to those areas of your life, they will fall into chaos. They will fall into chaos. I heard someone describe what they see depression as. And they said that depression is nothing more than the acceptance of doubt. So the frequency of doubt comes along, and then you actually accept it. But then more than accept it, you be it. And being doubt then is what we call depression, which is why there are high levels of anxiety. Imagine being doubt, high levels of anxiety, all these different things. And then they say, well, I'll give you a pill for that. And that's nothing more than, than covering the root cause. You're treating a symptom. The root cause is who they be. We got to transform who we be. Depression cannot live inside of me because of my frequency. It can't. Depression can only be attracted to a certain type of frequency. That's why we start with vision, and then we declare it with our words. Okay. So this T-shirt wasn't made from nothing, right? We're clear on that now. It was made from some previous source of energy, because energy is neither created or destroyed. Your life energy is what has created your current life. And if you want to transform your life, you must first transform your energy. How do we begin to transform our energy? Mindset. This is why we spent the first episode of Vision on mindset. My mind has to be settled on who I intend to be so I can begin repulsing and repelling frequencies, thoughts, ways of being that do not represent who I intend to be, so I can attract all the things in terms of who I intend to be towards me, so I become who I intend to be. And as I become who I intend to be, I begin doing the things that someone who I intend to be do so I can have all the things that I intend to have. So if you don't like what you see outside of you, you must transform what is inside of you. This is why I spent all that time on vision. So then let's go to law 2. So everything is energy. Energy is neither created or destroyed, law 1. Law 2, the law of entropy. I'm sorry, when I say law 2, I'm talking about the law of entropy. Any and everything left to itself tends to move towards disorder and chaos. If you don't dust your home, what happens? Out of nowhere. I didn't even open the windows. It just got dusty. Disorder will just show up. Right? This is a law. Don't get frustrated, just dust. Right? It's a law. I just dusted this last week. Don't get frustrated. It's a law. Just dust again. Right? It's our job. The Creator created us to tend the garden. Literally, to tend the garden. And then we get upset when we're tending the garden. And then we wonder why he won't bless us with a larger garden. Well, you mad about the little garden you have. You know, your little apartment is filthy. But you want a mansion? And by the way, this is not coming from judgment. I'm really trying to push awareness right now. I just want us to look around and see ourselves. But you want a mansion? Your little car is filthy. But you want a Benz? If you don't weed your garden, it will become overgrown. Things don't get better over time when you leave it unattended. If my wife and I left our house, moved to another country, paid the mortgage on the house, didn't pay anybody to do anything, when we come back to the house, it's going to be a mess. Oh, honey, we left the house so clean and nice. I thought you cut the lawn before we left a year ago. I'm using these as analogies so we understand, because sometimes we're like surprised by the breakdowns and disorder that come our way. No, you have to maintain. You have to maintain. Now, let's talk about us as a people. Most things need something outside themselves to maintain them. Right? The grass doesn't maintain itself. It needs a landscaper. The home doesn't maintain itself. It needs a cleaner, whether it's you or someone else. Right? The plumbing doesn't maintain itself. It needs a plumber. You keep using that plumbing, over time, you're going to need a plumber. Just how it goes, right? So then we call the plumber. Right? You keep using those electrical outlets, over time, you're going to need an electrician. That's what we call an electrician. This outlet went out. Why did it go out? Because that's the law. That's the law. Sometimes it's because it's cheap. Okay. So most things need something outside of themselves to maintain them. This is why I have a coach. Someone outside of me to support the maintenance of me. This is why I created Slay Your Goals, because all too often people would reach out and say, Linnell, I would like some level of maintenance, right? I'm using this from, right? I would like to hire you for maintenance and growth, because it's something about when you maintain something, it grows. Right? So most of us require maintenance outside of ourselves. And if you're having a hard time with that, that's why you're stuck. See, we have different levels of success. Some people, like your level of success might be higher than someone else's. So then you get there and you're like, I did this by myself. I don't need nobody else. It's like, but that's why you're stuck now. And now it's time to get something outside of yourself, to find someone outside of yourself to maintain you. It's nothing like having a coach who knows my vision and then can hear my language and say, that's not going to support you in creating what you intend to support, intend to create, right? Most things need something outside of them to maintain them. Most people need some level of support and direction outside of themselves to maintain themselves. This is why the show has listenership. It's maintenance, right? Most of the things that I'm telling, very smart people listen to the show. Most of the things that I'm saying aren't things that they don't know. It's a phenomenal reminder for maintenance. It's a great reminder for maintenance. So anything left to itself will move towards disorder. If that is a law, that means that we need things outside of ourselves to maintain ourselves. God's laws provide order. You want to know why I believe the way I believe? Because I prefer for my life to have some level of order. The application of wisdom provides order. The application of knowledge provides order. This is why I read the way I do. Because just because I read 1,000 books in my 20s doesn't mean I can stop reading now. Because since my 20s, there has been, God only knows how much more information added. So the knowledge I had before would not be enough to maintain order in my life now. Continual learning. Check this out. New information is being produced every day. And if you're not constantly learning, then by default, you're getting dumber, according to Law 2. I didn't say it, it's a law. It's a law, right? By default, if you're not learning every day, new information is being produced every day. So if you're not learning every day, by default, you are getting dumber, according to Law 2. Law 2 again, anything left to itself will move towards disorder. This is happening right now. And I've said it plenty of times. When I first started on radio, I was like, hey, understand social media. Do better with these type of things. Hey, upgrade your digital knowledge. I was like screaming it. And one of the things I used to talk about 10 years ago was the digital divide. That I'm like, hey, I'm afraid that our community is going to get lost in the digital divide. Right? And I would be like, please don't let us get lost in this digital divide. Now, fast forward to 2023. In 1 year, digital AI that we can use came out about a year ago, a year and some months. I think it was like September, October 2022, when OpenAI introduced ChatGPT, right, as a form for the consumer to use. By the way, it's been in place around you already, right? Alexa's AI. Like, you'd be like, Alexa, play this song. That's AI. You're basically interacting with AI. Okay, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is moving so fast. If you're not learning something new about artificial intelligence every day, you're being left behind. If you haven't used artificial intelligence yet, this is not even a topic. I'm just sharing because I'm scared for the community. Like, if you're not using artificial intelligence, you're being left behind. But it's moving too fast. Here's the crazy part. ChatGPT dropped 4.0 in the spring. That was like the biggest and greatest. And then Google just dropped Gemini, and it blows that out. Like, I was reading an assessment this morning. It was like, blows it out the water. They're like, yep, it's better. They're like, who? What? Gemini? Bard? Go look it up, right? Go look it up. Why do I know these things? Because I do not want my life and my knowledge to move towards disorder. The best gift that you can give someone. Hold on. Let me pause there. All right. So let's just go back to this whole idea of knowledge. So then I have a vision, right? I envision where it is I intend to go. That drives my pursuit of knowledge, right? Because in order for me to get there, then I have to mentally upgrade myself. That drives my pursuit of knowledge. I'm declaring in alignment with the vision. My words are in alignment with my mindset. Mindset produces my words, right? So my mindset produces my words, but my mind is on my vision, right? And of course, the vision should come from the Creator, right? So now my words are in alignment, which means that my thoughts, which have frequencies, are emanating out and pushing out, right? My words are in alignment. Those are emanating. And that's the first, those two steps themselves can transform you. They can transform you. Okay. Now, I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this whole idea of maintenance, okay? Most things need something outside of themselves to maintain them. So now I have a vision, but it needs to be maintained. That's why I have a coach. Because there's times that I forget. Even me. Oh, man, this is crazy. You know, I'm so tired. Blah, blah, blah. What's the vision, Linnell? Oh, yeah, the vision, right? Maintenance. Hey, I see a weed in the garden, Linnell. Pull that. Maintenance, right? Maintenance. Now, here's the other powerful thing about receiving maintenance outside of yourself. And by the way, if you're like, I can't afford a coach, that's why I created Slay Your Goals. Go to slayyourgoals.com and download the book, right? More maintenance. But also join the community. Become a member. $37 a month. Like, it doesn't get better than that. It just doesn't. It just doesn't get better than that. If you're waiting for the $1 offer, it's not coming. It's like not doing that no more. It's, inflation. Sorry. Right? It's like it's too valuable. I feel, it devalues it. It's just not happening, and it's a disruption to the community. And so it's just not happening. I know the community right now is probably like, thank God the $1 people ain't showing up. Yeah, it's like, full price, $37 is not, that's the sacrifice that must be made to maintain the garden. Then you'll figure it out. Okay. Slay your goals to maintain yourself. The best gift that someone can give themselves is somebody else that believes they can. Let me say it again. The best gift that someone can give themselves is finding someone else that believes they can. It's the best gift. I already believe I can. But then it's a gift for my wife to be like, oh, you do that? Babe, that's easy. That's easy. That's easy work for you, right? Like the best gift that you can give yourself or you can give someone else, right? Here's the gift that I give Slay Your Goals members that is more valuable than $37 they spend. The gift that I give Slay Your Goals members that is more valuable than the dollars they spend is the belief, I believe you can. My wife has told me, she said, Linnell, one of your biggest strengths and one of your lowest weaknesses is that you see the best in people. Right? Because I see the best in people, I always see their worst. That's what I got my wife for, right? She'd be like, ooh, there's a dark side there. Right? Be careful, babe. Right? Because I'm like, man, they're so like they could do anything they wanted to do. She's like, yeah, and they're coming after you, right? So, oh, dodge that bullet. The best gift that you can give yourself is getting around someone that believes you can. And this is the gift I give Slay Your Goals members, right? This is the gift I give the audience. I believe that this community can. I believe that this community has the potential and the ability. Are you around people that believe you can? Because if the best gift, let's think about the law of polarity. I'm in the show talking about the law of polarity. If the best gift that you can give someone is someone else that believes they can, what's the worst thing that you can give someone? Someone who believes they can't. Someone who pulls them down. Someone who destroys the vision in their mind before they even have a chance to speak it. Someone who takes the words that you declare and turns them against you. It's the worst thing. It's the worst thing. So when you have this gift, I believe in you. Dave, let me ask you, you believe I believe in you?
Yeah.
Probably more so than you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Probably more so, I'm like, oh, this brother has so much potential. Like, how do you get where I'm going?
Yeah.
It's a gift. It's a gift. You may not always work for me, but make sure you don't work for anybody else who doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Right? Now, vision allows you to think from the place you desire to go. So now that I have maintenance, right? Got the coach, Slay Your Goals member, whatever you might be. You got a mentor, therapist, however it is that you're getting supported. That's maintenance, right? That aligns with this law. So we know that anything left to itself falls to disorder. So now I'm ensuring that there's no disorder in my life, that I'm cleaning things up constantly. Somebody right now is like, I thought you was going to talk about energy. If this don't give you energy, like this right here is how you maintain your energy, by the way. Like getting away. One of the reasons you don't have energy is because your energy is being stolen by people that don't believe in you. So you have energy. It's just being siphoned. And so if you want your energy, I don't care if it's your mama, I don't care if it's your daddy, I don't care if it's your brother, I don't care if it's your sister, I don't care if it's your son, I don't care if it's your daughter. If they don't believe you, if they don't believe in you, it might be time for you to separate yourself from them. And then come back when your frequency is so strong that they don't even want to say it. You get where I'm going? Like, they don't even want to say it. They're just like, wow, well, right? Like, come back when it's like that. But I had to surround myself with a new mama, a new daddy, a new brother, a new sister, somebody that believed in me. Whew. Vision allows you to think from a place you desire to go. I'm going to end the show with this. And the reason this is important is because when you think from the place you desire to go, it begins to prepare who you be. See, you can't get there unless you be the person that's there. And the faster that you can get there is based on how quickly you become that individual. And so vision is the first step into personal transformation, because as the mind goes, so does the rest of the body and the entity of the human being. Being speaks to your identity. Now, so we make this mistake of having, right? Of going to the have. This is where mainstream media disrupts us, because it puts the have. And this is one of the reasons many of us, we're not at our level, our personal level of greatness, is because the way the world works is you can have so much now. You can have so much. There are many people right now who would say, Linnell, I'm living in poverty, but their home is cluttered. How does that match up? How are you surrounded by the clutter of things, but you're poor? It's because that's the evidence of your pursuit to have before you were being. And so none of that stuff matters to you anymore because you weren't being who you needed to be for it to matter. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. One of the places I have a piece of property, there's a luxury car that's sitting in it's sitting in their drive. That luxury car, maybe about a few years old. Tires have been flat on that luxury car almost a year. Almost a year. And it's just sitting there. When we pursue the things we want to have before we become who we need to be good stewards of those things, the things that we went to go have become a burden on us because we don't know how to be who we're supposed to be to have it. Somebody got the car before they knew how to be to have it. That's why it's sitting there. So even though they got it, they can't even have it. I don't know how to make that make more sense. You just got to rewind and play this back. Like, I just, you understand? Okay. So we start with who we be. And then what we do speaks to our activity. You notice I haven't talked about doing anything yet. Only thing I've asked you to do is sign up for Slay Your Goals if you're not a member. Right? And listen and share with other people. But we haven't even talked about doing. It doesn't make sense to talk about doing if your mind's not right and your speech is not aligned. So I'm going to take my time. Just going to take my time. The world we live in points to having. All you got to do is turn on the commercials right now. Have a beer, have a burger, have a Lexus. Right? Have. The only thing that should be driving your appetite for having is your vision, not the television. Your vision should be the only thing that drives your appetite for having. So if my vision, based on my vision, should I have that? And my vision will dictate yes or no. And again, if the vision is sourced through the Creator, then it's actually the Creator saying, no, child, not right now. Not right now. If you be who you're supposed to be, you'll be able to do what you're supposed to do. The reason why I haven't even talked about doing is many of us don't know how to do what we're supposed to do because we haven't become who we're supposed to become. And this is why we only take the first step in the vision. Often people say, well, how am I going to get there, Linnell? How am I going to get there? And if I were to break down the how, you would stop right now. And the reason you would stop right now is because you haven't become who you will need to be to handle the how. So right now, what you're supposed to do is craft a vision. That's your doing. Craft a vision and declare it. Do that. And then those things will support you in becoming who you're supposed to be so you can do whatever the next step is. And as you take that step and do what you're supposed to do, then that supports you in becoming who you intend to come and prepares you to take step 2. And as you take step 2, right, you begin doing step 2, and doing step 2 challenges you, right? Ruffles your feathers in a way that sets you up to become something different than you were. And so by doing step 2, you become someone different. And by becoming someone different, you prepare yourself for step 3. But if I were to say, step 1 is this, step 2 is that, step 3 is that, and then you heard step 3 to blow your mind, you say, well, I can't do that. And you're right, because you haven't become who you're supposed to become to take on step 3 quite yet. And that's why most of us stop before we even get started. Instead, just do what's in front of you. And by doing what's in front of you, you actually become someone different so you can do what's next. There was a time where I couldn't do this past week. I couldn't have done it. Being on Radio Sunday, Monday lead an organization and its leaders through a multi-hour workshop. Then that Tuesday, debrief it with the team. That Wednesday, get on a plane, go to New York. Wednesday in New York, meet with other leaders, met with my mentor. Then spend the entire day with more leaders. Then Friday, spend the entire day with more leaders. Then Saturday, get up, get on the plane, come back home, take my family to breakfast, spend time with my family, and then get on the show. I'm like, something got to stop. I couldn't have done that. That would be too much for me years ago. I had to become the person that I am today to do what I'm doing. But what happens is somebody would say, well, I want to do what Linnell's doing, but you need to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. So you can become who you need to become, who you intend to become, so you can do what you intend to do. Is this making sense? The reason many of us don't have energy is because we're doing way more than we're supposed to do. And the reason I can have energy is because I become someone that can generate a different type of energy. But the energy has always been here. I had to become the vessel that could actually harness it. Now, how do I know the energy's always been here? Because I'm going to go back, I'm going to end how we started. Because the law states that everything is energy, and energy is neither created or destroyed. So who I am today, the energy was always here. I just had to become something that could actually allow the energy to flow. Whoo! This is good. Like, I'm going to tell you, man, because where I'm looking to go, for me, I'm like, oh, that's why it seems big. Because I haven't become who I need to become to do what I'm going to do and have what I intend to have. Now, somebody right now, they're saying, well, that's nice for everybody else, but you don't know me. Little old me. I got all these weaknesses. I have these shortcomings, these places in my life where I just consistently always fall down, Linnell. It's so tough for me. And what I say to you is, well, let's talk about the law of polarity. Because for every weakness you have, there's a strength. For every weakness you have, there's a strength. And maybe it's time that every weakness that you've learned how to call out about yourself, you begin to ask the Creator, I need you to reveal the correlating strength, Lord. I need you to go ahead and reveal the correlating strength, because I know that this is my weakness. I know I'm not good at this, which means that based on what Linnell said, based on the law of polarity, that if I'm not good at this, it must be something else that I'm really good at. There must be a whole nother side that I'm not focused on. There must be something about me that I just don't know yet, that I haven't tapped into yet, that I'm not doing yet, that when I begin to do it, everything that I want, everything I intend to have, all the things I want to do, it just becomes who I be. Man, because for every weakness you have, you got a strength. And the problem is nobody told you that. The problem is, like, for a long time, you didn't believe that. The problem is you didn't know the universal laws, but now you know. And the problem is now that you know, there's so much more. There's so much more. And here's the opportunity to go do that. Here's the opportunity to go do that. For every weakness you have a strength. That's just the way that the Creator made it. He gave you the weakness. The problem is that's where your focus is. So then if you reorient your focus and say, well, then based on the weakness, what's my strength? And we begin aligning ourselves to our strengths, there's no telling who you can become and who you will be. And as the strength comes to mind, as the strength begins to reveal itself and distinguish itself, that's where you use the power of words and you declare it. I am whatever that strength is. And boy, watch how things shift for you. Watch how things begin to turn around. Just watch. Hey, my inspired peoples. Linnell Harris here, certified ontological coach and trainer. I'm so excited that you're watching the channel. By the way, did you know you can catch the show live at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday morning? You can. All you have to do is go to my Facebook stream, Coach Linnell Harris, catch the stream live, or you can listen to the radio show via iHeart at WVON 1690 AM. But since you're here, if you love the content, I ask that you share it, like this particular video, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you're having a great day.